graph g of x equals absolute value of x and k of x equals negative x squared plus 2. Thus, g of negative 1 is equal k of negative 1. We have to use the graph. So we will draw this two function. One is quadratic function, and the second we have absolute value of x. So let's build the tables, the charts, two charts, because we have two functions. First is g of x is equal absolute value of x, and the second is k of x is equal negative x squared plus 2. We have absolute value of x. We can take absolute value of every real numbers. So the domain is all real numbers, and domain of our k function, we have what kind of operation here? Square addition, so we can add, take to second power every real number. So the domain of our k function is also all real numbers. So we will build the table. For x, we will choose numbers negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. The same numbers we will use for k function, and because we have here g of negative 1, we should have and k of negative 1 the same value, so we will use for x negative 1 also to check the values for these two functions for negative 1. So this is x, this is g of x, k of x, chart for k function. We will choose the same values for x, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. And now absolute value of negative 2 is 2, absolute value of negative 1 is 1, absolute value of 0 is 0, absolute value of 1 is 1, absolute value of 2 is 2. And now we have to substitute x by negative 2. Negative 2 to second power is 4. We have negative sign, so it will be negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. Negative 1 to second power is 1. We have negative sign, so negative 1 plus 2 is 1. 0 to second power is 0, so it will be plus 2 is 2. 1 to second power 1, negative 1 plus 2 is 1. And 2 to second power is negative 4, we have plus 2 is negative 2. We can draw xy plane. Y axis and x axis. We have points negative 2, so we have to choose the unit 1, negative 1, 1, and negative 1. For negative 2, we have value 2, 1, 2 units up. For negative 1, we have value 1. For 0, we have 0. For 1, we have 1. For 2, we have value 2. So our function, absolute value of x, of course, is going to infinity from the left and right. Because we can substitute x by every real number. This is our function g of x. And the second function, we have negative x squared plus 2. This is quadratic function. So the graph is parabola. Coefficient before x squared is negative, so our parabola will be open, down. What else? We we don't have expression with x and we have only plus 2. So this 2 tell us about vertex of our parabola. The vertex will be in point 0, 2. So this is our vertex. Parabola is up and down, and let's put this few points. For negative 2 we have value negative 2, so 1, 2 down. For negative 1 we have 1. So we see from this table for negative 1 we have value 1 for k of x function and for g of x function. So we see that for sure value g of negative 1 is equal k of negative 1. Let's finish this graph. We have for 0 we have 2, like we said is our vertex. For 1 we have value 1, and for 2 we have negative 2. So the parabola is symmetric about y-axis, something like this. This is our k of x function, and we see from the charts and from the graph that for negative 1 our function g of negative 1 is equal k of negative 1. Our two functions pass each other exactly in this point for x equals negative 1. So we can write that g of negative 1 is equal k of negative 1 because for x equals negative 1 we have that g of negative 1 is equal absolute value of negative 1 is equal 1, and k of negative 1 is equal, we will substitute to formula of our function x by negative 1, so negative sign we copy, negative 1 to second power plus 2, so this is equal 1. We see that g of negative 1 is equal k of negative 1. From algebra, from the charts we see that for negative 1 we have value 1 in the g function and in the k function, and from the graph. This is my solution.